Hello everyone and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. We are grateful that you could take the time out of your busy schedule to attend our webinar today. Let me introduce myself. I am Alice Selvin, a product specialist at Mobile Device Management, and I will be your trainer for today. This is a 3-week training program which is designed to help you understand the features and benefits of Mobile Device Manager Plus. We are currently on week 1, and today we will be talking about how you can bring your devices under the management of an MDM solution, and also how you can make sure that they are ready to access corporate data. In next week's session, we will discuss app management in detail, and also how you can secure your devices and the data on them. The following week, we will talk about modern management of Windows 10, 11, and Mac devices. If you want to have a look at any of our previous training videos and see how they are, you can access the link given below to view recordings of the same. So let's have a look at the training agenda for today. We will start off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. This will be a general introduction to the product, the architecture, and the conditions that need to be met for you to install it. The next section, we will talk about the enrollment methods involved, meaning these are the ways that you can onboard different kinds of devices. After that, we will have a look at how you can push configurations to manage devices. So this will be on a few basic policies to make sure that your device is ready to access organizational information. We will also have a brief look at containerizing devices. The next section will be on restricting unauthorized access to corporate exchange accounts. And finally, we will conclude with a few scenarios that you might have come across in your organization and talk about solutions for the same. So let's get into the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus supports smartphones and tablets running on Apple, Android, and Windows devices. In the case of Apple, we provide support for macOS and tvOS devices. We also support Android TVs, Windows 10 laptops, desktops, and Surface Hubs as well. We are also one of the few MDMs in today's MDM market that provide support for Chrome devices as well. Mobile Device Manager Plus is available as an add-on to Endpoint Central, which is available on premises and on cloud. If you are looking to manage only the mobile devices in your organization, you can go for the standalone version of our product, which is available on premises as well as on cloud. Suppose you are an MSP in our audience, I would suggest that you try out the MSP version of Mobile Device Manager Plus. It has all the benefits, features, and capabilities of Mobile Device Manager Plus, along with a few MSP-specific features, like your customer segregation using a multi-tenant architecture. This is also available on premises as well as on cloud. Now we understand that your organization would require to closely integrate with other applications with MDM. So to make things simpler, we have integrated with a few top help desk management solutions, such as Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk Support, ServiceNow, and our in-house help desk management software, Service Desk Plus. In addition to this, we also integrate with Zoho CRM, our customer relationship management app, and also Zoho Creator, using which you can create custom applications and then distribute them to your devices using MDM. In case you have any other applications apart from the ones I just mentioned, you can view a list of publicly available APIs provided in the link given below. So this is the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. Let's get into it. This consists of 3 main components: the MDM server, the notification services, and your managed devices. So first, the MDM server will contact the notification service. That is your Apple push notification service for iOS, Firebase Cloud Messaging for Android, and your Windows notification services for Windows. Now, these notification services will then wake up the devices, and the devices will in turn contact the MDM server. So let's say you are trying to apply a restriction on the device. The MDM server sends this restriction to the notification services. The command will reach the managed devices because of the notification services. And then once the restriction is applied, the device will contact the MDM server to revert saying the command is successful. So this is how it happens in MDM. Now, since your managed devices may not always remain within the same network, you will need to NAT your internal IP address with a public IP address. And since this may raise a few security concerns in your organization, we allow you to optionally configure a secure gateway. This will ensure that all of the communication that takes place between the devices and the MDM server will be routed through the secure gateway. In case you are using the cloud version of Mobile Device Manager Plus, you do not need to configure any of these settings. We also allow you to integrate with a few directory services like Azure, Okta, and G Suite. Integrating with an Active Directory will make user assignment and device management simpler. Now, all of the communication that I just mentioned is facilitated by the use of ports. For example, for the device to be able to communicate with the MDM server, the port 9383 needs to be kept open. Similarly, here are a few other ports that we use for communication at MDM. If you would like to view a full list of all of the ports that we use, you can access this link. So this is a frequently asked question. How does Mobile Device Manager Plus manage devices? In the case of Apple, Windows, and Chrome devices, we manage these devices using the native client present on them. However, for your Android devices, the MEMDM app will have to be installed on the device for us to manage it. So now let's take a quick walk through of our console. So this is the Mobile Device Manager Plus console. We are currently on the Home tab. On the Home tab, you can see a summary here of devices that have been enrolled into MDM, devices that have not contacted the server, devices for which enrollment is yet to be done, the number of users that you have enrolled into MDM, devices with restricted apps, and similar details. Here you have a graphical representation of the types of devices being managed, say a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop, and this is of the platforms that these devices are running on. This is a summary of applications based on whether you have allowed or restricted them on devices. And the last contact summary will show you devices based on when they have recently contacted the MDM server. All of the activity that takes place in the console is recorded under the audit log read here. The device management tab is where you can create different policies or restrictions for your devices. You can distribute applications with or without user intervention. We allow you to automate app updates, OS updates, distribute certificates to devices, and also manage the content on them. Later today, we will take a look at how you can set up conditional access to your Exchange server and Office 365 applications. So we have a whole lot of options for overall device management in MDM. The inventory tab is where you can get granular details about all of the different devices you are managing. You can also get details about the apps on them and even the device's location data. You can scan devices regularly to make sure that they always stay in contact with the Mobile Device Manager Plus server. We also have options for you to track the battery level of devices and receive alerts when your device battery level drops down to a certain point. The Enrollment tab is what we will be dealing with extensively today. So these are all the devices that I have already enrolled into my MDM. So these are a few of the options that we will be taking a look later today. And we also support multiple enrollment methods for Apple, Android, Windows 10, and Chrome devices. The Reports tab is where you can generate reports based on different criteria, based on the apps on devices, or by the device's battery history, or when they have last contacted the server. You can also schedule reports and receive them in your mail. The Admin tab is where you set up your entire product by configuring your NAT, proxy, and mail server settings, and also other configurations like your privacy, security, and database settings. If you click on the Support tab, you'll see that we have a variety of resources that can help you get a better understanding of our product. You can check out our forums, how-tos, blogs, and our knowledge base. If at all you face any issues while using our product, you can contact a live technician or call the toll-free number to help your issue get resolved at the earliest. So now that we've had a walkthrough of the console, let's get back to seeing how you can enroll mobile devices. So let me put myself in the shoes of an IT admin to help you understand better. Let's say I am the IT admin for an organization that we will call Zilka. At Zilka, we have multiple devices for so many employees that I need to manage now. So I'm going to be classifying devices into two main types. One is devices that are already in use. Let's say I've already handed out these devices to employees, or these are devices that belong to the employees. Needless to say, these are already in use. And the next category is devices that are new. So these can be freshly purchased devices that I want to bring under MDM management. So how am I going to be enrolling all of these devices? First, we'll discuss how you can enroll devices already in use. So for devices in use, we have two main enrollment options. The first is enrollment with invites, and the next is self-enrollment. In enrollment with invites, as the name suggests, we will be sending a mail or an SMS invite to your users, using which they can onboard the device by themselves. And in self-enrollment, the admin has to publish a common link using which the users can onboard their devices. So let's take a look at both of these one at a time. Before that, let's see when to use either of these methods. The first scenario is if the device is owned by your employees, or if you support a bring your own device policy. So in organizations that support BYOD, since you are allowing your employees to bring their own devices and work with them, the device will have both personal and corporate data. So you need to find a way to manage the corporate data on your BYOD or employee owned devices. The next scenario is if it is a device that you have distributed from your organization, but it is personally enabled. So this can be devices that you have distributed from your organization, but you are allowing users to access personal data on this as well. So you need to find a way to segregate the personal and corporate data. And the last scenario is if you are migrating devices without a factory reset. So let's take a look at the advantages of both of the enrollment methods I mentioned, that is enrollment with invites or self-enrollment. The advantages of this is that you can completely isolate personal and corporate data, meaning that your personal applications, content, images have nothing to do with your corporate data. You are securing the corporate data on the device while separating personal data. And on Android devices, you can also create a logical container on these devices. So all of your corporate applications will be indicated with an orange briefcase symbol to show that these are corporate apps. You can also prevent unauthorized data access to your corporate data, even if it is a personally owned device. You can also restrict the sharing of corporate data between personal and corporate apps. So first, let's get into enrollment with invites. So this is the workflow. First, the admin will send the invite to the user. The user will accept the invitation, and they will have to scan the QR code and click on the enrollment link. Once they enter a few required details like your server name, the device will be registered with MDM. So this is how it works. Now, before we get into seeing how you can set up a mail invite, for enrollment. There is one condition if you are enrolling Apple devices, and that is creating an APNS certificate. So Apple mandates that you have an APNS certificate while using an MDM. The purpose of this is so that the communication between your Apple devices and the MDM server, it needs to be secured, which is why we create APNS certificates. So to create an APNS certificate on the MDM console, click on the Enrollment tab and select APNS certificate. First, you will have to create a new Apple ID if you do not already have one for your organization. We always recommend that this Apple ID is specific to only your organization. After this, download the vendor signed CSR. If you click on the download button, the download will be initiated. After this, you can sign in to the Apple Push Notification portal. This is the Apple Push Notification portal. Click on Create a Certificate. Go through the terms of use. Click on I have read and agree to these terms and conditions and select Accept. Now upload the vendor signed CSR which you downloaded on the MDM console and click on Upload. You will receive a confirmation message like this, and now you can go ahead and download your APNS certificate. Once you've downloaded it, you can come back to the MDM console and upload it on the next step here. You can also provide an email notification ID to be notified as soon as your APNS is going to expire. So let's get to how you can configure an enrollment mail template. I'm now on the MDM console. Click on the Enrollment tab. Select Enroll Device. Let's enroll an iOS device. So these are the options that you will have while configuring an enrollment mail invite. You can either choose to enroll it by yourself or through user invites. Click on Through User Invites. So now you can select the user to which you are going to send this enrollment invite to, and you can choose the ownership type of this, if the device is a personal device or if you've distributed it through your organization. You can also choose to assign this to different departments, different groups. I will talk about the importance of this in a few minutes. If you want to have a look at how this mail template looks, click on Configure Enrollment Template. So this is how it will look for your user. It'll have a complete set of instructions on how they will have to enroll the device, and also the key to authenticate themselves. If you want to make any changes or personalize this for your organization, you can do it using the formatting options we've given here, and then click on Save. So once you set up your preferences here, you can click on Send Enrollment Invite. So this will be sent to your user based on the email ID that you have specified here. So let's take a look at how this looks on your user's device. So as you can see on the first screen, this is how your user will be prompted. It will convey, the message here will convey that we will be installing an MDM profile on the device. They will have to click on Continue, and they will be prompted to download a configuration profile. Once this is done, it will show as profile downloaded. So you can take a look at how this MDM profile looks or how the settings of it are under settings on your iOS devices. So before this, the user will be prompted to enter all of the details that I showed you in the enrollment mail template earlier. The user will have to scan the QR code or authenticate themselves using the enrollment URL, after which all of these settings will be there and your device will be under the management of MDM. A few conditions, these invites that we just spoke about, are specific to individual users, and the OTP in the enrollment mail invite will expire in 7 days. On to the next method, self-enrollment. So this is the workflow. First, the admin will publish a common URL. Once the user gets this URL, they will click it and they will be prompted to authenticate their device with Active Directory. credentials. So by this you would have understood that a condition for this method is that Active Directory needs to be configured. And the reason for this is that it is mandatory for users to authenticate themselves with their AD credentials, so that you will also be aware of who is enrolling the devices. Once the authentication is complete, the device will be registered along with Mobile Device Manager Plus. Let's have a look at how this looks on the server. Under the Enrollment tab, click on Self-Enrollment. So these are all of the settings that we support for self-enrollment. You'll see that we have a lot of configurations which you can customize to your liking. So the first field is allow self-enrollment for all groups or selected groups. So you can choose to enable this URL either for all of the groups that you have created in MDM or for specific groups only. If you click on selected groups, you will have to choose the groups which you want to permit for self-enrollment. At the moment, I'm allowing self-enrollment for all of my groups. You can also choose to limit the number of devices that a user can enroll. So let's say I do not want an employee to enroll more than 3 devices. In that case, I will enter this number here. So this means each AD user cannot enroll more than 3 devices for themselves. And you can also enable this option, which will notify you when a device is enrolled through this self-enrollment link. So provide an email ID for that to be notified. You can also assign the devices that get enrolled using the self-enrollment URL to different groups. So you can choose the platform of that and different groups as well. So the benefit of this is you can automatically assign certain policies, restrictions, applications, content, and so much more to a group before you start enrolling devices. So let's say I have assigned a set of restrictions and applications to the support group. So since I'm selecting that here, once a device gets enrolled, it will automatically be assigned to this group. So it automatically receives all of the policies, restrictions, and applications on the device. This is helpful in a situation where you have multiple devices to manage and you want the device to be secured as soon as it is enrolled. So once you've set up all of these, you can click on Save. So this is your self-enrollment URL that I mentioned. You will have to copy this URL and share it with your organization so that users can just click on this link and start with enrollment. So once you click on Save, this will save your self-enrollment settings. Let's take a look at how this looks on your device end. So the moment your user clicks on the URL, they will be prompted to download the MEMDM app, and these are the options that they will get. They will have to enter in their server name, server port, and the email ID and click on Enroll. So this is the page that we will display as soon as they click on the link. They will have to provide an OTP, authenticate themselves, and click on Continue. Once they click on Finish, this is how it will look on the device. So since this is an Android device that I've enrolled, you can see that the device has been segregated to corporate workspace. So now we took a look at 2 enrollment methods for our devices that are already in use. Now we'll have a look at how you can enroll new devices into MDM. So these are the few main conditions. First, you will have to complete the initial setup of the devices manually, meaning you have to go through a few configuration steps on MDM to integrate a few portals. And also, there will be a little bit of admin or user intervention because these are methods for advanced device management. So these are a few automated enrollment methods that we support. We have a lot more, but due to time constraints, we will be going through just Apple Business Manager for Apple devices and Zero Touch Enrollment for Android devices. So the advantages of automated enrollment is you get full support for all of the profiles, configurations, and restrictions that we support at MDM, meaning that the security you ensure on your devices is advanced and the device is completely managed. We also support silent app installation if you enroll your devices in an automated enrollment method. meaning you can distribute apps to multiple devices of different platforms without any user intervention involved. And also we allow you to lock devices to a set of approved applications alone, and we call this kiosk mode. You can also manage, schedule, and even restrict OS updates based on your convenience. So the conditions that need to be met for these automated enrollment methods are: you need to create an account with Apple or Google, and your devices will have to be purchased either directly or from authorized resellers. So this is the workflow of automated enrollment. You will first have to integrate the portals along with the MDM server, and then you will have to add devices on the portal. So I mentioned that we will be talking about Apple Business Manager or Zero Touch. So in that case, you will have to integrate the ABM portal and the ZTE portal with the MDM server, after which you will add devices to the portals, and then you can go ahead and distribute and activate devices. As soon as your device is switched on and activation is completed, the device will be automatically registered with Mobile Device Manager Plus. So first, let's talk about Apple Business Manager. As a lot of you may know, this is a free program given by Apple to help MDMs simplify enrolling devices, managing them, distributing applications silently, and also managing the licenses of apps. So let's take a look at how you can integrate the ABM portal. So the first step in Apple enrollment using ABM is to generate a server token. This server token is mainly needed for secure communication between Apple and all of the different configurations that you need to onboard your devices. So these are the steps. First, you will have to download a public key, which we will provide as soon as you click on download here. Next, you will have to sign up and create a new Apple Business Manager account. This has to be specific to your organization as mentioned earlier. Now you can go to the ABM portal, click on Settings, navigate to Device Management Settings, and click on Add MDM Server. So here you are creating a virtual MDM server to which you can assign different devices and applications. Under MDM Server on the ABM portal, click on Add MDM Server. So I'm adding a new MDM server. So these are all of the options that you will have to configure as well. Name your MDM server, preferably a name of your organization for easier identification. Then you will have to upload a public key. The public key that you downloaded on the MDM console will have to be uploaded here. After this, you can go ahead and generate a new server token. As you can see, these are the settings. Clicking on Save, and then you can download the token. Now this token that you download, you will have to return to the MDM console and upload it here. As you can see, since this step is done, we've come off here, and this is our location server token that we have just uploaded. You can also provide an email ID to be notified when your server token is about to expire. So these server tokens are valid for 1 year, so you will have to renew it every year. Once you've uploaded the server token, click on Upload, and you also get the privilege of skipping a few device activation settings. So you know that every time you activate or turn on a new iOS device, you will be asked to set up multiple functionalities and different preferences on whether or not you want to secure your device, whether you want to configure location services, and so much more. So MDM allows you to skip these device activation settings on the devices to make activation simpler as soon as the device is switched on. So this entire step is about that. You can choose whether the device has to be activated by the user or by the admin. And these are the initial steps that you can skip that I just mentioned. So let's say I want only location services to be accessible by the user, and everything else I do not want them to configure. So you can check all of these and then click on Create. Once you create, this is how your console will look. As you can see under servers, the server that you created on your ABM portal will be mentioned here. Excuse me. So now that we have gone ahead and created our server, a virtual server here. Navigate back to the ABM portal, click on Settings, Device Management Settings, and it's time to add our devices. So for adding your devices on the ABM portal, you will have to add the Apple customer number and the DEP reseller IDs. Now, in the conditions, we would have mentioned that that the devices have to be purchased by an authorized reseller. So once you purchase your devices, these will be provided to you by your reseller itself. All you have to do is enter your Apple customer ID and your reseller ID. Once this is done, you can click on Done, and your devices will be automatically added to that particular virtual server that you had created earlier. As you can see, I have added a few devices. This is how the view will look on the ABM portal. All of the information about your devices, the storage, and the serial number will be displayed here. Now you can click on Edit Device Management and assign it to an MDM server. So this is the server that we created earlier, if you remember. You can click on that and select Done. So now this device is assigned to the virtual MDM server. So management of this will be simpler because all of the configurations will be automated because of ABM. Now click on Done. This is how it will look on the device end. As soon as your device is switched on, this is the message that will be displayed because we would have skipped the initial configuration steps. Once you download the configuration gets downloaded automatically, and this is how the device will look. So the benefit of this Apple Business Manager method is not only do you get advanced device management, meaning the entire device is managed. All of the data present on the device, the application's content can be managed by MDM, but you can also be rest assured that even if a device is factory reset, the MDM profile will not be removed from it. So now we finished Apple Business Manager method, moving on to zero touch enrollment. So this is the Android equivalent of the ABM method that we just took a look at. The process is similar, as in the workflow for it is similar. You will have to integrate the portals, and then on the zero touch portal, we will be adding our devices. So let us fast forward to the zero touch portal. This is how it will look. You will have to create configurations. The reason we create configurations on the zero touch portal is because, So the reason we create these configurations on the zero touch portal is so that we can apply these configurations to the devices that you want to manage. So once you've created a configuration for your organization, you will have to enter a few details here. These will be available under the Zero Touch Enrollment tab on the Enrollment module of the MDM console. So you can provide the DPC extras from there. You will just have to copy paste it from the console here, enter in your configuration name, your DPC identifier, your company name, and the email ID to be notified about any important information. Once you click on apply, this configuration can be applied to devices. So similar to the ABM method, as soon as the device is activated, this is how the setup will look on your screen. And the work device will be installed. Once you click on finish, this device will be completely managed by Mobile Device Manager Plus. So these are all of a few of the list of enrollment methods that we support at MDM. Due to time constraints, we could only cover invite, self-enrollment for already in use devices. And for new devices, we have taken a look at ABM and a quick overview of zero-touch enrollment. However, it completely depends on your organization's requirement, the number of devices that you have, the OS that they're running on, for you to pick an enrollment method that is suitable for you. So if you ever want a demonstration of any other enrollment method that you would like to enroll your devices by, we'll be happy to schedule a personalized demo for you at your request. So you can drop your contact details in the chat box, and our support team will get back to you with a customized demo of whichever enrollment method you want to see. So now that you have enrolled your devices, You would want to make sure that they are secure and that unauthorized access to the device is prevented. So to do this, we will be provisioning mobile devices. So first, let's take a look at how you can configure a passcode profile. Navigating to the MDM console, click on the Device Management tab. As I mentioned, under Profiles is where we can configure different policies and restrictions to our devices. Click on Create a Profile. I'm choosing to create an Android profile. Provide a name for your profile and click on Continue. So these are all of the different sort of restrictions and policies that we support for devices. You can set up passcodes, restrictions, even make sure that your devices are connected to corporate Wi-Fi, VPN, and these are just various range of features that we support to make sure that your devices are completely secure. So first, let's start off with the passcode profile. So you can choose to apply the passcode to the entire device, or if you have enrolled your device using enrollment via invites or self-enrollment and you want the passcode to be just for that container alone, you can choose the work profile. So you can choose to configure the passcode either with a certain number of customized requirements, or you can set up a default passcode which users cannot change and they will have to set their passcode based on that, or you can choose to remove the passcode on the device. So first, let's take a look at passcode requirements. Now, the passcode can either contain pattern, numbers, alphabets, or both, or even a complex value. This is to make sure that your users are setting up a complex passcode which cannot be found out by other users. You can also choose to set up a maximum number of failed attempts. So let's just say I give 5 here. So if 5 failed attempts have been reached, the device will be automatically factory reset. You can also choose a maximum idle time, the number of passcodes that you want to maintain in history, and a number of days after which you want your existing passcode to retire. You can also choose to force a passcode policy after a certain number of days or hours. We also support setting up biometrics as passcode for efficient complexity. So these are a list of the restrictions that we support in MDM for Android devices. As you can see, we have categorized all of these restrictions based on functionality, the application, network settings, and more. So these are all of the settings that you can configure based on your organization's preference. So let's say I do not want the device to be able to screen capture anything. I can go ahead and restrict that. Or if I do not want my users' corporate devices to have access to the camera itself, I can restrict that as well. So this all depends on the level of security your organization is after. We also have multiple network and roaming settings, as you can see, advanced security settings, and this all depends on, as I mentioned earlier, it is completely up to you as to what sort of restrictions you want to configure. If you do not want your users to have access to all of the browser settings, you can go ahead and restrict those as well. So let's take a look at how you can deploy this passcode profile that we just configured to your groups or devices. Click on Save once you've done your preferences here, and click on Publish. Once your profile gets created, you can navigate to the Groups and Devices tab and distribute it. I'm selecting a particular group. Click on Action. Click on Associate Profile. Click on the profile that we just created. Now you can either manually look for the profiles that you've created, or you can make use of the filters that we have provided here. You can also click on Select, and this profile will be associated with devices. As soon as the profile is associated with the device, your user will be prompted to set up a new passcode based on the requirements that you mentioned. So now let's move on to seeing how you can secure corporate emails from unauthorized access. As you all know, email always remains the preferred mode of communications for many organizations. So if you're using Exchange, you would not want unauthorized users to access this mail server of yours. So let's take a look at how to configure conditional Exchange access. So the first step in this is to integrate the Exchange server along with the MDM server, after which using MDM you can enforce a conditional Exchange access policy, after which only devices that have been enrolled into Mobile Device Manager Plus will be accessing Exchange. So in summary, what happens here is you are preventing devices that are not enrolled in MDM from accessing your Exchange server. So you are restricting your mail server, its contents, and important mails to only devices that have been enrolled into MDM. So let's take a look at how to set this up. Under the Device Management tab, click on Exchange. So these are the options that you have to configure before setting it up. To set it up, so you can choose whether you want Exchange online or Exchange on premises, depending on which your organization is using. You will have to enter your Exchange server's name, your username, and passcode. Once you do this, click on Next, and now you can set up an access policy like I mentioned earlier. You can configure this and make sure that your unenrolled users can either be blocked immediately or after a certain number of days. So you can also provide a grace period depending on how long you want to wait to block your users. You can also choose to apply this conditional Exchange access policy either for all of your users in MDM or for specific users alone. Enable this option to be notified through mail every time a device is enrolled or blocked. Now you can click on Apply Policy. So as you can see, these are a list of my organization's devices, and you will be getting frequent status updates as to whether the device is allowed or if it is blocked based on your policy. So since these devices are not enrolled, I have chosen to block it after a few days and wait for these devices. So let us talk about a few scenarios that you may have come across in your organization, and we will talk about solutions for the same. The first scenario: can we enroll devices that have not been purchased from authorized resellers into Apple Business Manager? So if you remember, I had mentioned that one of the conditions for enrolling devices into Apple Business Manager is that the device has to be purchased from an authorized reseller. So let's say you want to get the benefits of Apple Business Manager. You want complete device management, and you want your devices to get that security of not being able to be of the MDM profile not being able to be removed even after a factory reset. So there is a workaround for this. You can use another enrollment method called the Apple configurator method. So this is a workaround for ABM, if I should say so, and there will be multiple steps in this. The first is to install the Apple configurator tool on your device, on your Mac device, and this is one of the steps that you need to do. So you will be asked whether you will have to prepare devices with manual configuration or automatic one. So while this prepare devices step pops up, there will be an option here which says add to device enrollment program. You will have to enable this, which adds this device to DEP. So your device will get the same benefits of Apple Business Manager. And once you click on next and complete it, your devices can be enrolled into the device enrollment program as well. The next scenario: I want to leverage the benefits of zero touch enrollment, but some of my devices are not supported. How do I enroll these devices? So as we took a quick overview of the zero-touch enrollment method, you may have known that the conditions for this is that these devices need to be Google supported. So let's just say your devices do not meet the conditions for zero-touch enrollment, but you want the same benefits. We have other enrollment methods as well, and we would suggest going with the EMM token enrollment. So what happens in the EMM token enrollment is you can enroll devices by scanning a QR code. So as soon as you scan the QR code that we mentioned, or as soon as your device is activated, instead of entering a Google account here, you will have to provide a DPC identifier. So this is a unique key given to every MDM, and this is our DPC identifier. It is AFW #MEMDM. Once the user enters this and clicks on next, they will be prompted to continue with the usual steps. So they can choose their preferred method, enter those details, and the device will be enrolled into MDM. Scenario 3. What happens when two contradictory profiles are applied to a device? So this is a very common question that we get because admins are curious as to how we handle multiple profiles being associated with devices. So in the case of, so let's say you are trying to apply two restriction profiles to devices. In the case of Android, the most recent restriction profile will be applied on the device. And in the case of iOS, the most secure set of restrictions will be applied. Please note that this is only for restrictions because that is the example that I gave. If you are choosing another generic profile, let's say a Wi-Fi profile or VPN profile, there is no restriction like what I mentioned now. You can associate multiple Wi-Fi profiles and VPN profiles to devices. This contradictory case happens if you are setting up restrictions. If you would like more information on this, or if you would like to see a live demonstration of how these restrictions work, you can also reach out to our support team and they will give you a personalized demo on this or any other profile that you want to see how it works. The last scenario, how can we ensure users connect to the Wi-Fi distributed using MDM? So every organization would want their users to connect only to a secure Wi-Fi network, which is their organization's Wi-Fi network. So to make this compulsory, you can create a profile for it. Click on create a profile. Let's choose an Android profile this time. Provide a name for your profile. Click on continue. Navigate to restrictions. Click on network and roaming. Now here you will have an option which says connect to Wi-Fi only if distributed via MDM. You can go ahead and click on yes. So before this, what you will have to do is you can set up a Wi-Fi configuration. So this restriction is to make sure that your device will be able to connect to only the Wi-Fi that you have distributed via MDM. So if your users are trying to connect to any other insecure or open Wi-Fi networks or their personal network, they will not be able to. Let's take a look at how you can set up a Wi-Fi profile. So here you will have to enter the Wi-Fi SSID of the device and also choose whether you would want the device to automatically connect to the Wi-Fi or whether they will have to manually connect to it. You can choose the security type depending on what you want, and we also allow you to configure proxy settings for Wi-Fi. You can either choose to have no proxy or manual configuration. If you choose to manually configure your proxy, you will have to enter in the server, port, and the URLs which you want to bypass through the proxy. So once you've set up the Wi-Fi profile, you can go ahead and configure this restriction. As I mentioned earlier, you can save and publish this profile and then distribute it to your different groups and devices, after which they will not be able to connect to unapproved Wi-Fi networks. We have come to the end of today's webinar. Rate us on a scale of 1 to 5 on the survey that we will drop to you after this. 5 is the best option, so you can rate us on a scale of 1 to 5. If you'd like today's training, you can spread a word about us on social media using the hashtag Mobile Device Manager Plus. Tune in for our next training schedule, which will be on the 9th of August, and we will be talking about app management and device security in detail. Thank you and have a nice day.